Welcome, everyone, to episode number 106 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I'm your host, Triple J. Joining me is my co host, Dr. Games 101.
Hello, people.
And uh, I say, let's do what we do every 2 weeks talk about the biggest news in gaming. You ready?
Yeah, especially that Concourse situation. That's fucked up right there.
Yeah, don't jump the gun, though.
Yeah. I'm excited for that part.
Well, you're going to have to wait about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
First story up?
Are we there yet?
No. GTA 6 could prompt a shift to more expensive games. A Baldur's Gate 3 developer seems to imply that the upcoming Rockstar title will cost more than the standard $70. The price tag for new video games should go up, according to a Baldur's Gate 3 developer, but Michael Dowse, director of publishing for Larian Studios, believe the industry is in a holding pattern until Grand Theft Auto 6 raises the starting entry fee from $70 to something higher. On X, Dowse started discussing the price of new video games while sharing a screenshot of what's available in the expensive Ultimate Edition of Star Wars Outlaws. The Larian Studios executive bemoaned vague content promises to validate a higher price point, adding that a title should be priced accordingly with its quality, breadth, and depth. However, Dowse then explained that most new games should be charging more at this point. Games should cost more at a base level because the cost of making them, inflation for one, is outpacing pricing trends, Dow said on X. I don't think we'll get there with DLC promises so much as quality and communication. Everyone's just waiting for GTA 6 to do it. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick has danced around the question about whether GTA 6 could cost more than $70. Earlier this year, Zelnick didn't give a simple yes or no, instead talking about the company's aim to deliver great value at any given time. GTA 6 is set to release in fall 2025, and the Rockstar game, along with Switch 2, should help the video game industry rebound next year, according to a Sukarno report. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot has also expressed his belief GTA 6 will help everyone and doesn't scare off his company from launching games and in a similar time frame. The $70 price point for new games basically kicked off with the launch of PS5 and Xbox Series in late 2020. In fact, Take-Two was one of the first companies to charge $70 with NBA 2K21, with other titles like Call of Duty, Black Ops Cold War, and Demon's Souls costing the same amount for people too. Earlier this year, Embracer CEO Lars Wingfort noted that it might take one company pushing a higher price to see how customers respond. So let's go to comments. And Uninspired Cup goes, greed, greed, greed. Endless greed. Big Boss 927 goes, you seem to lack an understanding of basic economics. Attire X goes, pay more for games to be canceled, staff laid off, and studios closed? Sure. So, what do you think about Grand Theft Auto 6 possibly being the guinea pig to see if people will pay more for their games?
It has surprised me since the late 2010s. We see that there's these package deals, pre-order stuff going on with each game, like that of Anthem, and in recent game, Star Wars Outlaws and all. Because obviously, if you want to get the base games like $60 to $70, then they look at the premium edition, which is like the second tier, that's higher tier, that's $100 almost. Then you want to get the Ultimate Edition, like in Halo 3, with the you get the legendary helmet and shit like that. It's called the Legendary Edition, paperwork or steel books, stuff like that. So, I mean, that's been going on for a while now. I should say longer than the late 2010s, but at least back during 10, 15 years ago, they gave it a physical material as high quality, like that of the Halo 3 edition of the Legendary Edition, of course, with the helmet and all. Now, with like that, a Fallout 76 is some Ultimate Edition with the useless, low grade, low quality baggage bag, whatever, a duffel bag of sorts. That's like, it's fucking up. It's fucking with the consumer now. They try to create this huge, you know, discriminatory practices, you want to call it, because it's like as gamers, always not PC gamers, but definitely console gamers, we were prone to take it up to more times than ever, and every single time, and we still buy into those package deals of expensive games or expensive edition of games. So it's only a matter of time. GTA 6 will up the ante. Definitely, if you want to get that decent base game, you might go to spend at least $100 for the matter, not $70 in my opinion. So it all depends on what they will put into the game in the base game, because obviously it's going to be the biggest GTA game ever. And perhaps going to be one of the biggest games to begin with, perhaps bigger than Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, perhaps bigger than other games out there, Concord at one point, because they had a bigger layout over the years of what they want to do with that game. So it's let's see what happens with the next year and a half from now.
Yeah. Um, well, first off, if any gaming executive or CEO or anything like that is trying to defend games raising their prices, uh, well, you should be increasing in quality. Games quality at this point is at an all-time low, except for a few outliers. You got Concord canceling in over a week. You got games like Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. What a what a bullshit that was. You got all these games that suck, and then you got people wanting to raise prices for them. It's like, well, if you were actually making games of good quality like you were like in the 2000s and the 2010s and even the 90s, maybe people would be willing to pay more if you wanted to raise prices. People don't want to pay extreme prices, premium prices for bullshit that's mediocre at best.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to a movie theater and I buy a full price movie theater ticket, and the movie starts and it's a high school play, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh yeah.
And that's what gaming execs don't seem to understand. You keep saying, "Oh, these games cost so much more to make." Well, if you had the same care and quality as games in the past, maybe more players would be uh, would be at least sympathetic to your arguments. But when you shovel out games and it's like a needle in a haystack with only one of those needles is a good, it's like, of course we don't want to pay more for this. So I mean, games going up past 70, yeah, there's an argument for it, because for people who buy like deluxe editions and everything, this is nothing to them. But at the same time, it's like, I mean, even WW 2K24 has its own problems. So what? You want me to pay not more, not $90, $100 for it instead of 60? Gee, I wonder why I don't want to play modern games anymore.
That's just a yearly occurrence like that of Call of Duty
Yeah,
games or even the
yes,
2K games.
yeah. The sports games are a yearly occurrence. But I mean, yeah, these, and then, well, I mean, look at AEW Fight Forever, or as I call it, Disappointment Forever. Uh, they'd bring out like three wrestlers and like have charged like $25 for the whole pack. And it's like WWE offers more wrestlers in a pack and doesn't charge even half of that.
Oh yeah.
And so, so it's kind of like you're, if maybe, let's return back to quality. Let's have games with the same quality of Arkham Asylum or the Batman Arkham games. Let's have games with the same quality of the old Gears of War. Let's have games with the same quality of Grand Theft Auto 5, of Red Dead 2, of I'm starting to blank.
Mm-hmm.
I really shouldn't be blanking right now with how far back I'm going. That's the problem. If these games were, like I said, if the games were good, maybe people would be willing to pay more. But no, you want to give us games that require day one updates and we'll just figure it out later. And now you want not people to go 80, 90, $100 for it.
That's the base game, most likely.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Funny.
Well, like I said, that's why I'm sticking to retro.
What a clown world we're delivering, right, Triple J?
Yep. Ready to move on?
Oh yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Next, Black Ops 6 movement is even more ridiculous than you think. I can't wait to get killed like this. For years, dolphin diving has been a popular way to travel across the map when playing Call of Duty. The latest installment in the franchise, Black Ops 6, aims to evolve this popular method by introducing a new way for players to channel their inner dolphin. This feature was discovered shortly after Call of Duty posted a multiplayer trailer on its official YouTube channel. The trailer featured many mechanics players have known about for some time, such as the meta shield and how Omni movement looks in action. But what caught a lot of people's attention was how players can now dolphin dive out of the water and use Omni movement to their advantage to create a Max Payne-like action sequence. For those unaware of dolphin diving, it's when players launch themselves forward, and once they land, they are immediately prone. While they're in the air, players look like dolphins, and that's where the name comes from. Wasn't the only trailer Activision has recently released. Earlier last week, the studio released a new zombie trailer, which picks up after the events of Black Ops Cold War zombie mode. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 launches on October 25th, but players can try it out early thanks to the beta set to begin on August 30th, which was about 9 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only one comment. Yeah, the Tendians goes, yeah, the Call of Duty series is running out of ideas and randomly making ones. So, are you going to be dolphin diving when you play Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
Well, I mean, the dolphin diving always been a part of the Black Ops series since the first one, obviously.
It has?
Well, not dolphin diving, like the dive-in material, like we press and hold the beamer while running. That's been around for since the beginning. But now dolphin diving, okay, that's kind of weird. But I mean, also the Omni movement too is the most distinct one out of with the Black Ops 6 game of the sub series of Call of Duty. So it's like, I'm anticipating how it's going to look in the actual gameplay and for to the general public, because obviously they did a beta event earlier, late last month, or earlier this month. Right now, it's September 6th right now. So as of like 4 days ago, they were just started doing another beta testing, this time to the public. So let's see how that's going. And then once the official game comes out next month, or to the latest, depends on what's going on, let's see what happens after that. In my opinion, that is because it for what they showed during the summertime of it was called the showcase, or basically what Xbox did, the showcase of sorts, because they did a Black Ops 6 preview event. It looked good on paper what they tried to explain in the video and all. So I kind of commend them for doing so, for explaining the matter. It's gonna be like do like a little shuffling, a little back pedaling, that run up, spin, shit like that, like you do in football, or some form of dance material of like fighting your opponent of sorts with a weapon of sorts. So, and this is all based on my experiences in karate class, of course, and also what they explain in military related, courses. Depends on who you talk to from the military, or just basically veterans who explain what's going on, how you fight and stuff with weapons, like melee weapons and stuff like that. So this Omni movement sounds like something of a good fresher, not refresher, but good fresher. Like it's a brand new material of some form of gameplay. This time for the Black Ops game in Call of Duty. So, yep.
Okay. Um, yeah, I really don't have anything to say about this because I'm not going to be playing Black Ops 6. I haven't. The only Black Ops game that I played actually is the original. And even then, I played mostly campaign, not multiplayer. Although I did play multiplayer the last time I played Black Ops, which was years ago.
Okay.
So yeah. So I mean, I guess maybe this is Call of Duty's way of stealing from Max Payne. You
Something
know,
like that first.
just like Max Payne Bullet Time and everything. That was
Or Quantum Break, which that's another Max Payne lookalike as well, in a
yeah,
sense, but it's more advanced of its time after that, years later after, because Quantum Break came out actually as 2013, 2014, so it was supposed to be an Xbox One launcher. And I have to say though, even though it looks mundane to most of the gamers that play games for basically for fun and all, look at this as like a blockbuster hit to those that want to sit back and have popcorn ready and play through the live action series as included with the packaging of Quantum Break. So something like that with the not omni movement per se, but the movement of like action pack. Got go with the flow type of moments. That's what they're trying to do with Black Ops 6, in my opinion. Make it look very actionable to the average casual Call of Duty player, and then keep them enticed for longer periods this time.
yeah. So I mean, I really got nothing to say about this just because I don't play Call of Duty anymore.
I understand.
So yeah, ready to move on.
Yes, we can move on.
All right, next. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle dev thrilled game is coming to PlayStation. Bringing the game to PS5 is something we wanted to do. During Gamescom recently, Microsoft announced that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will come to PlayStation 5 in 2025, following its debut on Xbox Series and PC this December. Creative director Axel Torvenes from Machine Games said in an interview that the studio is super thrilled and excited about the opportunity to bring the game to PS5 and reach a wider audience. The more people that can play the game, who can see all the passion and love we have put into this project and all the hard work, the merrier, the developers told Eurogamer. Design director James Anderson, meanwhile, said bringing the Great Circle to PS5 is something we wanted to do. The developer added that the game's engine, ID Tech, was made as a multi-platform engine which will help the team bring the game to PS5. Anderson mentioned how Machine Games will absolutely be able to have more time to polish the PS5 edition for launch. The Great Circle comes to Xbox Series and PC on December 9th, with a launch set for PS5 in spring 2025. According to a report, the game could launch on PS5 in April 2025. Troy Baker, a veteran voice actor known for playing Joel in The Last of Us, is voicing Indy in The Great Circle. Tony Todd, who voiced Venom in Spider-Man 2, plays Locust. Discussing why Microsoft is bringing Great Circle to PS5, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said, Xbox is a business that exists to make money. Also, in the interview, Anderson said the Great Circle is a love letter to the Indiana Jones franchise, and as such, it will have plenty of fan service, including Easter eggs and other nods. At the same time, Anderson said it's equally important that the Great Circle appeals to people who don't know anything about the franchise. We want this to be the first introduction to Indiana Jones for a lot of people who can just try it out on Game Pass, the developer said. For more, check out GameSpot's rundown of everything you need to know about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So let's look at some comments. Moogie Star goes, the game kind of looks terrible in my opinion. That said, yeah, I'm not surprised they want it on PS5. They'll make a lot more money versus Xbox, given that PS5 owners have to actually buy the game and not simply get it with their subscription. Also, twice the amount of PS5s than Xbox helps too. Well, that's Xbox's fault. Furwing said, no licensed IP should be platform exclusive. Of course, the developer would be happy that 60 plus million more potential customers will now have access to this game. And Chubby170 goes, great news. So we've covered the drawback of this. We've gone through, what about Indiana Jones coming to PS5. Do you think it's really a good thing or do you think it's just it's hurting Xbox more than it's helping anyone?
In today's world, where the newer gamers, you want to call them, like the ones who are under a certain age group, they want everything on every platform. I think it's good for them. obviously with us older gamers over past 25, 30 years old, we're like the dinosaurs of the gaming community in a fucked up manner. Yeah, they're like, oh, these whippersnappers, they all want everything on everything, and because we grew up with the console exclusivities when we were kids, it was the best thing for competition among these companies from Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and all, and other companies that are like third parties or of sorts too. So, it's all about who's going to get the best deal for the best skins, for the best DLC of that console, and that was kind of a good thing to keep that competition flowing. Because you put everything on every platform, even though it's only just on Sony instead of just Xbox, that's a good thing at first, obviously. But then it's like, what's the point of exclusivity? What's the point of all the goodness of that? Because obviously everyone has everything, and it's like there's nothing special about it. This is all. It's basically like an opinion, but it's been an actual marketing strategy as early as the early 2000s into for going back earlier since then. And it sucks that it comes to an end in its fullness. Of the exclusivity. Now it's all about inclusivity in the I N, the inclusivity, and it's like at first, having everyone on every platform, it's just I don't know, man. It doesn't seem right at first. This is all it's all enough about my opinion at the end, but it based on my experiences as I'm going through marketing classes and business mathematics classes as well too. So it's kind of like what are you trying to strive for with this goal of having both on a PlayStation and Sony. I mean, Sony PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox, because there's this YouTuber I've been listening to for a few weeks now. His name is Oh No, It's Alex with two X's, and he's been like bashing the fanboys, both Sony and PlayStation and also Xbox, for having all this. Oh, it should be on this platform. It should be on that platform. Indiana Jones, and it's like and most of these fanboys are in their 30s and 40s, if not 50s. So it's kind of like pathetic on our part. We still fighting like we're still kids back in the 1990s and 2000s, whereas you know kids of like now they don't care about all that competition and brand loyalty and stuff like that. Maybe with Apple products like Apple iPhone and stuff like that, that's of its niche. It's still relevant to most people who can afford those $1,000 phones. But that's about it, because the everyday people, the everyday customer, the everyday gamer of today can only afford but a few games a year at a time, unless they have the Game Pass for the Xbox or the Sony's Play It Now, whatever it's called in today's world. So it's it is what it is right now. We gotta adapt to it as us older gamers, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just the way I look at it. It's closer to, it's not a monopoly yet, but it's kind of like one step closer to a gaming monopoly.
Yeah,
Because I mean, if you didn't like Microsoft, you could get a PS5. If you didn't like Sony, you could get a Nintendo Switch. If you didn't like Nintendo, you could get an Xbox. And now it's kind of like we're almost losing one option because don't get me wrong. When Xbox brought Sea of Thieves to PS5, I thought, fine, that game's probably been out since the Xbox One has been out. It was dead in the water. They weren't going to get any more sales. Put it on PS5. But
yeah.
this is something different because Indiana Jones is going to be out for what, 4 months on Xbox One before it goes over to PS5. I mean, timed exclusives last longer than that.
A year at least.
So yeah, so that's just the point. It's kind of like we're almost going towards a gaming monopoly in modern gaming because it's like what's the point? What's the point of getting an Xbox at this point? Xbox has just completely abandoned their system, but they're still putting out new Xbox Ones, expecting people to buy them in October.
And then you have the snapping app feature where some people can't afford having multiple TVs or multiple computers in a room or rooms of their household, whatever. So, cater to guys like me who like snapping app. At least bring that back on the Series X and S, especially the newer consoles. But that's my opinion, of course, in that matter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's almost like I said, to finish my point, when they bought Sea of Thieves over, I was like, fine, they're probably not going to get any more sales. They'd probably be lucky to get one more sale from an Xbox gamer that hasn't already gotten Sea of Thieves. If someone hasn't gotten it yet on Xbox, it's because they don't want it. So I was fine when they bought that over. But Indiana Jones, I mean, it's not even like more people can play together because Indiana Jones is a single player game. What are they going to do? Tack on some multiplayer mode that's half baked just so they say, hey, this has multiplayer too. That's why people can play together. And it's like, when I think of Indiana Jones, regardless what subtitle, I think of a single player game.
Oh yeah.
And so I hope there's no half baked multiplayer, tacked on multiplayer mode, but I didn't even think of that till just now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I said, it's like, what's the point of getting an Xbox now?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what exclusives? And we're going to talk about Phil Spencer's Phil Spencer's lapses in judgment later on when it came to certain game franchises. But I just don't see the point. It's kind of like, yeah, if you were going to do this, you would wait till sales have basically died on Xbox, then bring it to PS5.
Yeah.
Like you did with Sea of Thieves. Like you did when Xbox gave a crap about their consoles. But no, it's gonna be on Xbox, and basically people are gonna be like, you can get it 4 months later on PS5 if you want to get it on PS5. What reason is there to get an Xbox?
Oh yeah.
At this point, because it's kind of like because any popular game that's not Halo, which when was the last time a Halo game came out?
Infinite, if I remember correctly, that's about it. Maybe some portable mobile games. That's about it. That's all I can think of.
I wasn't thinking of mobile games. I was thinking of console games.
Right.
But I mean, with it's kind of like if a game's going to be a big deal, it's going to be on PS5 or Game Pass maybe, and it's just it's almost like at this point just give Microsoft the white towel so they can wait a white towel, a white flag, anything so they can just wave it. I mean.
Phil Spencer already did that last year, so.
Yeah, he already did that. So.
And we're gonna talk more about him later on, bet.
But yeah. So I mean, like if I would expect Indiana. I mean, because like, and think about the old days. Think about Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. That was exclusive to PlayStation 2, and then after Metal Gear Solid 2, they bought the Twin Snakes to GameCube. But Twin Snakes was still different. It was like, I think, Metal Gear Solid 1 with Metal Gear Solid 2 gameplay.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it was still different for people who like the new gameplay but like the older story. And, so that was, okay, a reason to actually get both, the PlayStation 2 version and the GameCube version. But this, I just don't see why. I mean, great, more people can play together. Mm-hmm. But if a game doesn't have multiplayer, what's the point? How many people are playing together if there is no multiplayer mode?
Well, so we're co-op for up to 4, 5, 6 players. That's about it.
But even co-op, it's probably what? Indiana Jones is going to have what? One person with him?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's... Yeah, so it's not like you're getting a whole big gaming match of players to compete in some battle royale mode, which I shudder to think maybe shouldn't go into this because I'm probably giving developers ideas. But
I'm on the podcast with them. Hold on, come back soon. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
But they've all got bitten by the Fortnite bug, so I mean. I don't think I'm saying anything that developers haven't already thought of. So it's kind of like there's no reason to buy an Xbox. All of Xbox's biggest games are coming to PlayStation 5. Nintendo's doing its own thing. And this is the state of the gaming industry.
Yeah.
Is it wrong to want a video game crash to happen?
I mean, Boogie before Boogie became all crazy in the recent time, back in like 2014, 2015, he predicted it was going to be a game crash sometime in the next few years. So he was right before he became all crazy and stuff with his antics on YouTube. So
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of like the first time you couldn't really avoid it. It was just companies not doing right. Now it's kind of like the AAA companies that should know better. They're just throwing shit at the wall. It's like, how about instead of throwing shit at the wall, making a good game?
yeah, it's a lot of profits these days are about like quality of the product.
Yeah, exactly. Low quality. Like I said, I at this point, I don't think games will ever get back to where they used to be in terms of quality.
Yeah, or
Which goes back to my previous point that why would anyone want to pay 80, 90, 100, $110 for mediocre games?
let's get from independent small company that make good independent games, like one of those like games like White Noise or Amnesia, stuff like that. Those are good games to play every now and then. That's from small companies, small gaming companies. So
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why if a video game crash does happen, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to affect independent studios or even uh, studios of small or medium size. I think it's just going to be exclusive to AAA developers.
oh yeah,
Except Rocksteady, they've already massacred each other. They've already massacred their staff. We'll get to that later.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, so more people could play it, but at the same time, that was the number one reason why people had to choose a console because not many people could afford both. So it's kind of like, do you want to play Killzone or do you want to play Gears of War? Do you want to play Halo or do you want to play God of War? Do you want to play? Uh, do you want to play? Do you want to play Crash Bandicoot or do you want to play? Um, you know,
Spyro.
yeah. Well, not well. They're kind of together. Well, but they're both on the. Yeah, but I mean, Crash Bandicoot and Spyro used to be PlayStation exclusives.
Oh yeah,
So, anything else to add, or ready to move on?
we can move on now.
All right. Next, Star Wars Outlaws patch 1.000.002 is stranding some PS5 players in space, forcing them to start new saves. Quality. A hefty Star Wars Outlaws update coming in at 8.5 gigabytes was released on PS5 last night, bringing with it a 40 frames per second mode and bug fixes. But it's causing problems for some PS5 players who have already made progress in the Ubisoft Sandbox Star Wars game. In the wake of releasing Star Wars Outlaws patch 1.000.002, Ubisoft sent the following message to some players warning them that they may encounter issues with their current save if they were playing on an older version. To best experience the Outer Rim, we rolled out maintenance to make sure everyone is playing the latest version of the game. As one of the players affected who had access to an older version of the game, we are aware you might be encountering some issue after this recent patch. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. Once you've confirmed you have the latest version, please start a new save to fully enjoy Star Wars Outlaws as that team intended. If you continue on a prior save, you will unfortunately face issues and progression blockers. The progression blockers that Ubisoft alludes to see some players stranded in space after completing certain games. Players on social media have reported encountering the progress block and having to start new games as a result. I just got the email this morning. Wish I knew that before I played 5 hours last night, said Reddit user. Said, honestly, this game is testing my patience. Adding insult to injury is that Star Wars Outlaws is still in its early access period, meaning that PS5 players who have access paid more than $100 for the Gold Edition release. In effect, players are paying extra to get early access to a ride when it's still a construction zone. And they wonder why we don't want to pay more higher prices for these games. The good news is that patch 1.000.002 sounds like a big upgrade for Star Wars Outlaws, enhancing the visual fidelity on PS5 while addressing some of the issues we alluded to in our review. The 40 frames per second support is an especially big deal as it enhances Star Wars Outlaws visual fidelity without sacrificing too much of the fluidity from a higher frame rate. Star Wars Outlaws will be sold on Xbox Series, PS5, and PC on August 30th, which was 9 days ago. In the meantime, if you're planning on picking up Star Wars Outlaws, we have plenty of guides to help you explore Ubisoft's version of a galaxy far, far away, including our walkthrough, side quest, and more. So let's go to comments. And Force Dream goes, "Thanks for beta testing for us later buyers. Much appreciated." Charlie B424 goes, "Only a fool would buy an Ubisoft game at launch. It is full price and full of bugs." The Pie goes, "Stuck in Space is the best place for this game." So, what do you think about people getting stuck in space and having to basically redo hours of the game they played already to get past this glitch?
It's pathetic. And the game came out on my birthday, by the way, like at a body count in 2011. So it's kind of like I was just waiting to buy it for my own birthday celebration, to see how good this game is. Because I like to see that, this character and also the game itself are outlaws, because kind of reminds me of like Han Solo. Maybe just connect the Han Solo blood relative or some sort of faction going on during the events of Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6 somehow. Like, you never know, right? So it's kind of like that. But no, it's just a failure in my opinion. In my opinion, it's a failure. I'm sure it's a good game to play no matter what. It's kind of funny how she melees people, however, knowing that she's like how tall and how big she is. She's not that big. She's like an average 5'8", 5'9" woman trying to, what's it called? Trying to punch a fucking stormtrooper in the head with his helmet. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But it's all right in my opinion to have that going. But all right, whatever. But and also the graphics too were all gritty and not so well put effort in to make sure it looks fluid. Because obviously when you play games like that of like what Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, or if you play games that cancel game that Angry Joe talked about, it was called something called like not Concord, it was like Spellbound or something of that sort. It's like a dragon type of Monster Hunter type of kind of game in a sense. It looked very good before it was canceled. So but Outlaw, it looked horrible. And they had Day One patch I hear and stuff, and now obviously this was talked about now the Day One patch, and it's like, it's too late. It's not a total failure like that at Concord, but at least it's like they had plenty of time, at least 3-4 years to make this game very well, in what I hear. And it's like, yes, it's a AAA game. It's Ubisoft. They did a good job with Assassin's Creed, the first few Assassin's Creed games and all. You figure they're gonna do something great at launch of this Outlaw game, especially coming out during the entailment this summer. It sucks. That's how I look at it. And maybe one day I might play Outlaw Star Person myself when it's on sale for Black Friday, like in like 2 years from now, for like $10, $15. That's about it. But I'm not spending no $70, $80 for the base game, and then this is what they got for us with this improperly fucking up the saves, knowing that Outlaw Star's gonna spend at least good 30 hours at least to beat this game. So
I just like that comparison when it's like going to ride one of the biggest new rides at a theme park, and you walk into a construction zone. That's what Star Wars Outlaw feels like. It's like, hey, let's go ride this roller coaster. And so you go to where the roller coaster is supposed to be, and you see just a bunch of construction workers still constructing the pillars and everything. It's like, you're not riding it anytime soon. But yeah. So I mean, this is just more of the story. Another thing I'd like to say is if game companies want gamers to spend more money on video games, how about making sure they're complete when they release?
Oh yeah.
Instead of needing day one patches and 8.5 gigabytes patches, which is what this one is
It's
worth,
pretty big right there for a
is
patch.
which is the size of this patch. Um, yeah, no, no wonder people would rather play Super Star Wars on Super Nintendo than Outlaw.
Or at least play Battlefront to the Xbox, PlayStation 2 at the era.
Yeah, yes, Battlefront 2, or play the original Battlefront or Battlefront 2 from Xbox, not the Battlefront collection.
Yeah,
How they messed up those games, I'll never understand.
definitely. Or at least play the Battlefront 2 from like 2018, 2017. That was alright to play, even though
Yeah,
they fucked up on the loot box system and all.
well, that didn't even affect me. I mean, I was playing Battlefront 2 on Game Pass, I think. Um, and the loot boxes. I honestly, I didn't even know there were loot boxes, and I played a lot of Battlefront 2 battles. So
Yeah, because in order to get Darth Vader, at least you need to spend at least 50 hours just to get a Darth Vader skin, a chance to get Darth Vader skin, or the Darth Vader character in order to play with him in the special team deathmatch type of games. That type of shit. It's kind of
I
fucked
just,
up.
I just, I just joined Team Deathmatch after Team Deathmatch. I didn't care who I was controlling, who the enemies were. I was just, I mean, and once I found out those things, it was like, okay, let's go shooting.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The Battlefront 2 of its time back in 2017 was good. I hear, and also I did play the campaign for a few minutes. It was all right. Kind of like not slow paced, but it's kind of like it's like a movie style type of format where it's like you got to like be patient. I understand it's trying to build up a story or build up some action, and it will be entailed. It will be concise and also be inputted. Boom right there. It's good, a good moment to play the game. That's how it is in Star Wars altogether with its movies and stuff. Like it's like back during the New Hope episode 4 back in the 70s and all. First time watching it was pretty intense at first. And obviously then Rogue One decades later, Rogue One came out the movie, and obviously Darth Vader being the badass and all with his lightsaber. So it's kind of like you gotta be like it's a multi generational type of like experience, to understand the culture and also the lore of Star Wars. So I commend George Lucas for like making this come true in his vision back as well as 50 years ago. So yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, the Star Wars games, yeah, the Battlefront games, just not the Battlefront collection. So either the original ones for PS2, Xbox, or the Star Wars Battlefront 2 for PS4, Xbox One were good. I think those were the last good ones. Now that I think about it, um, yeah, but I mean, Outlaw, you know, it just looked the hero not looking attractive was kind of like a prelude of things to come
yeah.
for me. It's kind of like I know this game is gonna suck, you know.
And it's okay
So
for the lady, the female character, to actually not be fully attractive. It's like we have other not unattractive female gamers, but female gamers that impacted anyway, like Jonah from Perfect Dark. I can understand that kind of feeling. That's fine, but don't make it too ugly.
well, not even that. It's just like I kind of knew, like when I saw how they made this character look on purpose. It's kind of like Suicide Squad all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when it because it's kind of like if this is how they make the main character look, what is the rest of the game going to be like? It's like um it's it's like once you saw how they made the main character look and defended it, it's going to be like, oh, that's how these people think. Yeah, um, I've seen this before. So, and now you need a new patch, and people who play the game or in early access have to start all over again. Aren't you glad you spent $100 on this?
Yeah.
Anything else to add or ready to move on?
I just want to say though that it's another disappointment again on my birthday release date because it's more than one game that came out on my birthday, August 30th and all. So, you know, Body Count was all right to play back in this time on my birthday back in 2011, but this Outlaws is kind of like, yeah, I'm not gonna spend 50 was it $75 for this game, and it's like I'll wait until it goes down greatly in price by half at least, and then take it from there, or at least put what I see in the bargain bin at Walmart or some shit.
Yeah, or like goes down 3/4.
Yeah, well, at least 3/4 damn. So that's all I
Ready?
gotta say.
Okay, so time to move on.
Yes, rest in peace.
Report: Activision canceled a Crash Bandicoot Spyro crossover game. Activision canned Crash Bandicoot 5 to focus on multiplayer and live service games.
Oh,
I'm glad. I bet it worked out like gangbusters. A new report claims that Crash Bandicoot 5 was greenlit by Activision, but was then canceled very early in development due to Crash 4 selling poorly and the publishers wanting to focus more on the live service titles like Call of Duty Warzone. Interestingly, this game would have seen the Wumpa fruit-loving marsupial crossover with another platforming mascot, Spyro the Dragon. According to a new report from gaming journalist and historian Liam Robertson, formerly Activision-owned studio Toys for Bob began working on a multiplayer Crash Bandicoot game after it had wrapped up on the Spyro Reignited trilogy. But then the company took some of that work and began developing 2020's Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. This game was well liked by fans and critics, and Toys for Bob began planning a follow up. This new game, known internally as Crash Bandicoot 5, was planned to be a direct sequel to Crash 4 and would be a single player 3D platformer like previous entries in the long running franchise. Robertson's video includes concept art and possible story ideas for this never finished Crash sequel. At one point, the developers were planning to include Spyro in the sequel, with the report claiming that the two would have worked together to save their respective universes from a giant cataclysmic event. Both characters would be playable, and players would even see both characters' universes in this multiverse pitch. Kotaku has reached out to Activision about the report. According to the report, Toys for Bob only worked on Crash 5 for around 3 to 4 months and largely focused on concept art and early environments. In the winter of 2020, Activision canceled Crash 5, reportedly due to Crash 4's low sales and the publisher wanting to focus on online games over single player titles. Toys for Bob then worked on Crash Team Rumble, a short lived and not very popular online game that you probably forgot even launched. Thankfully, Toys for Bob was able to survive all this. In February, the company announced that it was going independent and would work alongside Activision owner Microsoft on a new project. It's now rumored that Toys for Bob is working on a new Spyro game. So, would you have liked to seen a Spyro Crash Bandicoot crossover?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I made a meme of this back many years ago, where Goku and Jiren were doing a fist action where they were bumping like that bumper thing you do with your fist and then it says Crash fans, Spyro fans, and when they meet each other at the middle, it will say love number two. Meaning that the Crash Bandicoot 2 and Spyro Dragon 2 were the best platform games of its time, and it's funny. It was funny at first, in my opinion. But now it's like, for in today's world, you probably could catch some of the older gamers to be taking part in buying the crossover game. I'm not sure about the younger guys, the younger gamers, because they never experienced the first three Crash games or the first three Spyro games, unless they bought the trilogy back in 2018, 2019, respectively, of course. So it's kind of like, I only got the Insane trilogy of back in 2020, 2021, and I'm stuck at the castle level of the Crash Bandicoot 1 game. So I didn't play Crash Bandicoot 1 as much as far as like the further levels into the game, only like the first 3, 4, 5 levels every single time with my friends, because we get stuck after a while when we reach to the Papu Papu as the boss battle, and then sometimes we defeat him, whatever. And I finally get to defeat Pinster in recent memory with the with Crash Bandicoot 1 of the Insane Trilogy. So I guess you say I'm more of a Crash Bandicoot fan, just by how much I talk about Crash. But if they brought the crossover together, it will bring the forces of fans of Spyro and fans of Crash together for just a moment and buy each other's respective copies of the regular trilogy games. I wish they would find some way to fix that the Spiral Trilogy one, where they only put one game on the disc and you got down the other two. That's stupid right there. I hate when they did that. And how they fix that matter right now, whereas you get all three Spiral games like that. Insane Trilogy was Crash. Doesn't make any sense, you know? I'd say watch it have everyone go online and stuff for the sake of for more money, more profits and stuff like that. But at the same time, you gotta worry about game preservation, also longevity and long term profiting of your fans, your loyal gamers of your respective IPs. Because games like Resident Evil, games like Spyro, games like Crash Bandicoot, games like Siphon Filter at one point. These were games back 25, 30 years ago that started off, and now all of a sudden some of them were like dying down a bit. I was going to revitalize like Crash and Spyro, and it's great. It's the greatest thing ever that they did for the newer generation of gamers. But now it's like, not crossover. It's kind of like, yeah, let's take that risk. Let's do it. I want to see that happen in the future. Even if it takes a few more years, so be it. So.
Okay. Well, what Dr. Games 101 doesn't know is they actually did do a crossover on Game Boy Advance.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck.
Crash, what was it? Crash Purple, Ripto's Rampage, and Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy.
I guess I want to see on the AAA on console games, something like that, at least.
Yeah, because these games were exclusive to Game Boy Advance, and they were kind of like the levels that you had to complete were like party games, not what you would expect from a Spyro or a Crash Bandicoot game on PlayStation. But it still featured Spyro, still featured Crash Bandicoot working together. For people who never played it, I played Spyro Orange, and basically it was where Crash and Spyro think the other one's evil. The first boss fight is with each other. Then they realize they're both fighting for the same thing. So in the game, it turns out Dr. Neo, Cortex, and Ripto have teamed up. So Spyro and Crash are like, well, let's do the one thing they never expected. Let's team up to stop them. And basically, you could play, which depending on which game you played, you could play as whoever it was, either Crash Orange or Spyro Purple, or Crash Purple, Spyro Orange. Excuse me, I'm getting the colors mixed up.
Right.
And whoever was in your game's title, you played as, and you could get the other game because there were party games that you could only access if you had both games. So it was like, yeah, so. But then again, like I said, that was a party game. So it's not what people were expecting, obviously. But I think based on the idea, the way if it was actual levels instead of mini games, maybe it would work. I would have loved to see it. Crash and Spyro team up again. Maybe we'll see it down the road, but yeah, it just sucks that we could have gotten something that would have been different, and instead we had to get another online game another online shooter.
Something of that sort, yeah.
And it's just like I mean, but then again, also I think one thing, to be fair, we're never going to see the same quality again of Crash Hammond, no matter how many Crash Bandicoot games they make, of the original Crash 3 games from Crash Bandicoot. I'm talking about the PlayStation, the 3 released on original PlayStation. Same goes for Spyro the Dragon. I don't think you're going to match anything of either Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rampage, or Ripto's, I think, Rampage, and then Spyro Year of the Dragon. I don't think you're going to reach anything like that even if you remake the games like the Insane Trilogy and the Reignited Trilogy. So, at the same time, maybe we're hoping for something that we just can't get anymore.
Oh yeah, and if I say this stuff about Crash and Spiral, now I will admit this. I've only played the demo version of the first Spiral the Dragon on the demo disc. I still have to this day on my desk next to me, and it's been a blessing. I still have these old materials to play whenever I want to. But it is what it is. I stuck with the other side of the fence, and that was Crash, because of the timing. Because obviously, you gotta respect your time as a gamer to see what you want to dedicate towards. And I think we should talk more about that in our next podcast about why in today's world the current day not developers but the current day publishers, the current day shareholders of these gaming companies don't respect our time as gamers, whether you're young or old, because we all gotta go to school, we all gotta do work and stuff like that, or do a mixture of like other project stuff other than just gaming. So that's what's going on now. Now it's like they're not respecting our time, or it's like we want to see the crossover after 25 years of Crash and Spiral. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So, while it would be nice to see this crossover, unfortunately, we didn't get it on a triplet on home console. Um, Maybe we'll get it in the future, but I think we are kind of setting ourselves up for disappointment if we're expecting something of the first three from either franchise,
yeah,
which is a shame. But um,
it's gonna take a lot of work though for not rebuild, but to create a decent crossover of Crash and Spiral. And they already had it and set it not set in stone, but they had a build up of it too. So all you gotta do is finish it. Have Naughty Dog, whoever's the respective holders of these IPs, to just try to make sure that these developers stay in contact with each other and like, okay, this is what we're gonna do in the next 10, 15 years from now. Like they did with Psychonauts. I was expecting, because I heard Psychonauts was a good game on the Xbox and PlayStation 2 and all, whatever respective consoles at the time. I heard of these games when I was 17, 18 years old of Psychonauts, and I was like, I wish I had the money, but I couldn't afford to, and I missed out on the opportunity to see it in its actual release time and all. Now, for the last 2 or 3 years, I did recordings of it on my YouTube, and it's a great experience. Psychonauts all about psychological, tactical, understanding of the world and all, and it's just a great thing. And all of a sudden, Tim Burton, I think his name is, who's the creator of Psychonauts, or the founder, or at least take part in the directing these games that he's been under guys for over 25, 30 years now. I'm not sure with Beetlejuice, I'm not sure, but definitely with with Psychonauts. I forgot if that's the name, Tim Burton, if I remember correctly. And he never thought about creating another sequel until fans later on, who are us, in our age group, kept asking for decades now. Hey, it's almost a decade and a half now of Psychonauts 2, which it was on the Game Pass last time I checked. So it was like, wow, another feature event and feature game. So yeah, you gotta keep at it. Put the pressure on these developers and the founders of these IPs to just keep at it if they can. Because obviously these guys are greatest minds. Miyamoto of Zelda and Mario and stuff like that. Like these guys, and Hideo Kojima of Metal Gear Solid. Like these guys are one of the greatest masterminds of making games and all. It's great. It's a blessing right now. We're in this era right now to see all this stuff happening, with crossovers and stuff. So that's all I gotta
yeah,
say.
yeah. So I mean, uh, maybe yeah. So, but the thing is, it's kind of like modern day. The problem I had with the Crash trilogy and the Spyro trilogy, it's like modern day problems were making it into these collections. How
Yeah,
does modern day problems make it into these games when these games were done
yeah,
and you just had to bring them over? You know, you had to play test them. You had to, I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't work to do it. I'm just saying if these collections are experiencing the same problems that other modern games are, I'm not looking at it like a collection of the games that I used to enjoy playing. And to be honest, I didn't play Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon until I was much older. Um, I was an adult by the time I had Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon. Like Dr. Games 101, the only experience I had of Spyro the Dragon was a demo of the first game.
Actually, I did play the first three, well, at least Crash Bandicoot 3 when I was 12 years old, so I played it when I was a preteen, being on the Crash side of things, so.
Yeah, but I didn't experience Crash Bandicoot till I was older, at least until I had my PS3.
Okay.
And Spyro, the only experience I had growing up was the PlayStation demo disc when the PlayStation first came out. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
had, because in the first Spyro, in the demo I had, um, you could play like the first few areas, but when you had to go to the balloons to get to another world, the guy who did the balloon ride in the original game, you have to rescue 10 dragons before he'll take you to the second world. In the demo, the guy who does the balloon ride goes, "The other worlds are very exciting. I'll take you there in September." Obviously, the game was slated for a September release when the demo was made. Um, so but that's the only experience I had growing up, and then I got to experience these games much later. And while Crash Bandicoot is as hard as you, it's while it's difficult as um, while it's very difficult, makes you want to pull your hair out. It's still fun. It's still a game I'll go back to,
Yeah.
which is more than I could say for plenty of the other shovelware coming out in modern days. Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Let's move on. It
Okay.
was a good experience to talk about this stuff. Yeah, it's a blast from the past, indeed. I
Well,
hope they'll continue to do the crossover, the official crossover, not no Game Boy Advance version, which that didn't impact the GameCube to me as much back then because I didn't hear about it as much. So,
well, the only reason I even came across Crash, the only reason I came across Spiral Orange was because I found it when I worked in Rockville Center. There was the store was CD Island on. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that on Merrick Road.
maybe I've been there at least once, maybe.
Okay, well they had used games, so I used to go there once a month just to see what used games they had. And I'm like, Spyro Orange. I'm
Mm.
like, a portable Spyro game. Okay, I'll play it. It wasn't what I was expecting, but hey, it was something. So anyway,
Yeah, we can move on now if you
next.
want.
Yep. PlayStation Plus free games for September 2024 are now live. Here are all the games all PlayStation Plus members can now download. PlayStation has launched this month's batch of free games for PlayStation Plus subscribers. All PlayStation Plus members can now claim 3 free games as of September 3rd. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, they made a sequel, MLB The Show
Mm.
24, and Little Nightmares 2. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions is the big release for September 3rd, as this is a brand new game launching next month. Based on the Wizarding World's most popular sport, you'll be able to play as either a chaser, seeker, keeper, or beater, and the game features a career mode, several Harry Potter characters, customization options, and multiplayer. MLB The Show 24 isn't a radical departure from previous games, but when it comes to baseball, the series is still in a league of its own. This year's entry in the series introduced another engrossing season of storylines, the Negro Leagues, and further refinements to the core gameplay. Finally, Little Nightmares 2 is a delightfully creepy follow-up to the original game with inventive puzzle design and some scary original levels to explore. With Little Nightmares 3 scheduled to launch in 2025, this is a great time to catch up on the series before the threequel arrives. You can also check out the August 2024 PlayStation Plus game catalog lineup for premium extra members to see what has been added recently. The August PlayStation Plus Essential games, however, can no longer be claimed. So let's see. Comments. Garvington goes, Waves Wand, Gamio Garbaggio. Afro Maca says in response, Insertum Trashtanium. Simon the Kid 7 goes, Look, everyone, GameSpot even forgot to mention what a horrible human being J.K. Rowling is in an article about a Harry Potter game. Or maybe they decided not to mention it since things went so well for them last time they did.
Mm-hmm.
And and Mogon said in response to that, Well, thank God you were here to bring it up. So, um, PlayStation Plus. Yeah. I'm sorry, but when your headline is Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, uh, what am I supposed to say? I'm like, I'm like, material presents itself. Do I really need to beat the point home even further? This is what you're paying a monthly fee to PlayStation for?
Hey, Quidditch. I'm sure Quidditch is not that bad of a game, right? It's all right. So I mean, game reviews for it all right.
I'm talking about Harry Potter Quidditch Champions.
Yeah, it had good reviews, right? That's a good thing. Well, it's not the great reviews, but you know what I mean.
I don't know what reviews were. Let me see.
I
I'm
saw
not,
it just now. It's like about what, 6 out of 10, I think it was. Let me check.
that's not good.
Let's see. I don't see the reception of it yet. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 6 out of 10 for a press star.
Yeah,
7 out of 10 on Steam.
3.7 out of 5. So it's like a 7.5.
Yeah, Steam has it for 7 out of 10. All right, it's a mixed reviews at best, you know.
But I mean, this is what you're paying PlayStation. I mean, forget Game Pass. This is what you're paying PlayStation for. I'm surprised they didn't. I'm surprised they didn't go all the way and go. I mean, you got Quidditch Champions. You got MLB The Show 24. I'm surprised Little Nightmares 2 wasn't a sports game.
Yeah, Little Nightmares 2 was all right. You know, kind of a weird ass boss battles to go through in that game, but it's all right. I played the first Little Nightmares game. It's all right too. It's a little. I'm kind of stuck though on the Xbox One version, where I had to just with the chair and then avoid the lights and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. It's like they have inside, but like it's more 3D, you know. So
But I mean, I just don't know. Little Nightmares 2 aside, MLB. I'm just focusing really on MLB the Show 24 and Harry Potter Quidditch Champions.
yeah.
What? Well, I mean, hey, it's your money. If you're paying for PlayStation Plus,
Hmm.
if this is what you want to spend your money on, have fun, have at it. But I just don't see it.
We're just buying the game separately at this rate, you know.
Yeah, I mean yeah. So I mean, hey, if you want, but I mean, and MLB The Show 24 they even said that really has it's not really it's still a baseball game. Gee, thanks. I'd hoped it would be, but
I mean, the games leading for Game Pass on the Xbox is like the no names I never heard of before. I was like, they were on the Game Pass, and I never heard of them before. There's not, and they're not even like games that you once heard on at the showcase or at some Xbox event, nothing like that. It was just like the no name games I never heard of. I mean, that's about it.
yes, but so I mean, if you got PlayStation Plus, be sure to run out and claim these games and play Harry Potter Quidditch Champions and tell me how wrong I am that it's actually a great game.
I
I'll
mean,
wait.
it looks good in the movies, like when they played on back there the Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter, the what's it called, and the Layers of the Night or some shit like the second, pretty much between the first and second Harry Potter. Those are the good Quidditch games I like about the special
Well,
effects and all.
I played Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup on PlayStation 2, and I stopped like after 5 minutes.
Is that bad?
I I wasn't enjoying it, so
I thought it was very interactive,
maybe
you
if
know.
I'd given it more of a chance, maybe it's better than I think. better than initial reactions. But um,
I mean, kids love Harry Potter, so why not the Quidditch game be separate altogether and sell it, right? That's what happens, and that's what's going on, for the last few days, And there's even one Harry Potter fan I read um, the same books like 10 times over, all the books up till like what's it called, Deathly Hallows 1 and 2 and shit, and there's Prisoners Azkaban or whatever the fuck it's called. Pretty much all the 8 books he read 10 times over. The kid was impressive. He was on an Oprah show talking about this back like at least 5 years ago now. So, or something around the time where the Harry Potter was going through a project or a story event going on with the Harry Potter event, and he was invited to the event along with the creator of the Harry Potter books. What's her name again? The one that's like completely anti-transgender that people say about her. I've got her name already. Sorry, guys.
yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't give Quidditch World Cup, which was the predecessor, a good chance, enough of a chance. But it's just like I just look at these games and I'm just like I feel disappointed that I don't even pay for PlayStation Plus.
And you spend like how much again for the top tier one for like $100 like a year? Not even. And it's more than that actually.
Yeah. So again, if these games were if you like these games, let me know about Quidditch Champions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to move on.
All right, we only got three. We only got three more stories left for tonight.
Understood.
Rocksteady reportedly lays off staff following Suicide Squad. Kill the Justice League flop. The game caused a $200 million hit to revenue. Rocksteady Studios has reportedly laid off several staff members as a result of the disastrous release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Anonymous employees told Eurogamer that the Rocksteady quality assurance team had been cut from 33 members to 15 with poor sales of Suicide Squad, which cost owner Warner Brothers Discovery a $200 million hit to revenue, cited directly. Rocksteady management has allegedly acknowledged that product quality will take a hit as a result of the layoffs, as remaining QA testers struggle to uphold the game standard as the team once doubled in size. Quality assurance, sure. The 18 staff members affected reportedly included junior employees and veteran team members who were at the studio more than 5 years. IGN has asked Warner Brothers Discovery for comment. Suicide Squad launched in January 2024 as a live service game featuring the likes of Harley Quinn and Deadshot, and issues emerged almost immediately as players who paid extra to play the game sooner were kicked out after an hour as Rocksteady dealt with a bug. This was the first of several frustrations for fans, and Suicide Squad failed to sell well, being dubbed a disappointment by Warner Brothers Discovery boss David Zaslav. Its critical reception was just as poor as in our 5 out of 10 review, IGN said. Squad Kill the Justice League is a repetitive and bland looter shooter that, despite an engaging story, never stays fun for long enough. So, comments. Mr. B13144 goes, I am sad for everyone who lost their jobs, especially with such a broadly talented studio. However, from when the game was announced to be a live service game, reading about it felt like a slow-moving car crash. Shane22086 goes, how about laying off the execs that forced a studio known for compelling single-player narrative-driven games to make this live service flop? Now, hard-working staff that did what they were told have to think about themselves and their families. And Rebuttal goes, when it's for incompetence, we call it firing. When it's for financial reasons or because of mistakes made higher up the chain, it's layoffs.
Hmm.
So, what do you think about Rocksteady firing half its quality assurance team?
It's a no surprise. I mean, it's not a total flop, but it's a huge hitter. It comes down to the sales of the Suicide Squad game and all, and they still got a lot more to do with the not the DL. It's what I call it DLC, but add-ons to the game as well over time for the next year or so, and it's like not looking too well.
That's if they get there. I mean, the Joker, no one cared about. Mrs. Freeze, no one cares about. So it's kind of like if Mrs. Freeze, if the Rocksteady just might throw up their hands and say the heck with it. Why even bother releasing the other two characters?
Yeah, Mrs. Freeze, if I recall correctly, was in Batman Beyond or one of the right before Batman Beyond, I believe, back in the late '90s. Of being one of the not the best character, but it's like an interesting character from the start of it all because. I don't know if they put lore into it in detail, but it looked like a very distinct character to look towards as an enemy towards Batman and all. So it's I'm very surprised people are not interested in at least Mrs. Freeze so far. And Joker, yeah, that's been a given for a while. Like Joker has always been the badass or the deceptive motherfucker wants to kill
But
half
Mrs. Freeze has never really been in the Batman movies.
or not Batman movies, but the Batman TV show. I'm trying to refer to the Batman Beyond. You remember?
Oh,
You
oh
remember Batman Beyond?
no,
I never watched it back in the late early 2000s. Okay, so
no.
Batman Beyond was, like, said, like 20 years after the events of the Batman animated series. Last time I checked, and Bruce Wayne, who's the Batman for how many decades? He gets getting too old. He was get killed by the people. He was trying to do an operation at somewhere some outside the skirts of the city of Gotham, stuff like that. So he found his kid who's a teenager. He's more athletic and shit. The Batman should get more powers and stuff. So it's kind of like And Joker, I'm not sure. I never really saw the Joker directly in the TV show itself, but there's remnants of the Joker, the minions slash henchmen and stuff like that. So he was like a remnant of the Gotham and shit like that. So, and then Commissioner Gordon, the who's the now retired and passed away most likely. Now the not old lady, but the commissioner's daughter, who was the Batgirl,
Yeah,
she became the commissioner of the city and shit like that. So that was pretty cool. It was a very well formatted, well detailed story. If you've actually watched the show without like diverging your attention and all, it was a pretty good show. Now you can't see that shit anymore. It's all about greed and let's just throw at the wall type of shit. Kind of fucked up. But
yeah,
there's some successful Batman, DC, Marvel movies, so you just got to find them. It's and also TV shows too. So it depends on what you like, what you don't like. If it trying to tell a story, can you follow the story very well? And Marvel started as early as what? The Marvel Universe started as early as 2007, and we're now in the year 2024. So it's been 18, 17 years since that the beginning because of Hulk and all, and then Iron Man the next year and so on and so forth. So I guess we did furniture all the time, but the point is that the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, it had potential, but it just didn't. It just they fucked it up because they kill off the characters of the Justice League, and that's what they're doing a reboot of the DC universe for next year for Superman coming out next year and all in 2025. And not just going to feature Henry Cavill, but going to be a totally different story altogether. So let's hope for the best for this reboot and see where it gets us.
yeah. I mean, I've offered ideas how to make how they could have made Suicide Squad kill the Justice League better. Like I always said, each character, at least the four main characters, they should have each had their own method of attacking. Harley Quinn should have carried a bat around. The whale guy or shark guy should have just had like superhuman strength so he could rip people apart. You could have given one of them, the two remaining guys, a gun. And I think one of them was also had. I think one of them was Deathstroke or like another version of Deathstroke, wasn't there?
Okay,
I'm
not
I'm not
sure.
sure about that. But I'm saying just give one of the two remaining people a sword and one of them a gun. Boom, you got four people. You got four anti-heroes who fight different. What they should have also done for the story is, and this is how they could have played with the minds of gamers in a good way, is if like your Suicide Squad, you're killing the Justice League, but you're killing the evil Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you remember in the first trailer, Superman had like the laser eyes and uh still and had like those handcuffs on from Injustice, and Like one of the Suicide Squad members was like, "Who did this?" And the rest of the members are just pointing up to Superman in the sky. So what you could have done is like Suicide Squad is taking on the evil heroes from Injustice. So Suicide Squad, yeah, they're fighting the heroes, but the heroes are evil. So is Suicide Squad good? You could have played with it, like that. Been like, yeah, they're fighting the heroes, but the heroes from Injustice, last time we looked, especially if you get the bad ending in Injustice 2 when Batman turns evil, uh, you could have, made it like, well, wait, who's really good? Are you good? Are you bad? You're fighting heroes, but at the same time, they're acting like villains. So does that make us heroes? They could have done something like that. Um, they could have also just not had to make it a live service game. Just make it a game where people can play. Because even if that way, especially if the game flopped due to low sales, people could still discover it later.
And they'll have like a second coming in the future, or third. It's been five
Yeah,
years after release, or even 20 years after release.
yeah, you could. Yeah, you could have. People could, if even if people didn't want it at first, they could have discovered it later because they would have heard like how the story is captivating and how everyone plays different. Joker could have been. Joker could have had his own attacks too. Give
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. If you want to bring in Mrs. Freeze, give her Mr. Freeze's gun. She's and you could have made her story compelling, but no, we had to pander to DEI, and we had to pander to um, and we basically had to make a game that was all about pandering. And I hope you enjoyed the $200 million hit because honestly, that's exactly what the people who ordered this game, the executives, deserve.
Indeed.
You could have played so much with these games and when you created them, but you were like, no, we need our own looter shooter because
Because Apex is making so much money. Because Fortnite is making so much money. PUBG recently become free to play and making so much money than ever. You know.
yeah. But the thing is, at the same time, only so many people only have so much money to afford.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to do that, just make an MMO,
Mm-hmm.
and that would have been fun. But no, they basically wanted to anger all the fans that were all the people that were fans of the Batman Arkham games. If they weren't already upset with Gotham Knights, which most people were, this was the ultimate fuck you to those people.
Oh yeah.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on?
Pretty much, it's a flop, like you said before, and we keep being the dead horse after a while. It's gonna be a dead horse eventually over the next few more months if they continue to release more and more content out there to the public through its scheduled roadmap, we're gonna call it, because Concord didn't do this as well too. So it all depends upon if they make some kind of money back to continue to make it happen with this roadmap, as they call it. So it's only a matter of time. Give it a few more weeks, months. We'll see more of the gameplay. So
Yeah, it's going to be just as uneventful as the rest.
yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Next, Xbox Phil Spencer says he passed on acquiring so many games, including Destiny and Guitar Hero, and Grand Theft Auto, and Spider-Man, but I digress. Spencer said in a recent interview that Destiny didn't initially click for him. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said in a recent interview, commented on the fact that he's passed on acquiring games like Destiny and Guitar Hero for Xbox. The CEO went on to say he's made some of the worst game choice decisions, but that he ultimately has no regrets. Give me my ruler. I need to go see Phil Spencer. His comments came as part of an interview at PAX West titled Storytime with Phil Spencer, where the head of Xbox discussed some of his favorite games from over the years, one of which is Destiny. Spencer said he had mixed emotions and stories around Destiny. The shooter didn't initially click for him when he first played it, despite having a closer relationship with developer Bungie, he said. He once shared a floor at Microsoft with Bungie founders Alex Serapian and Jason Jones and learned ton from just being around Bungie, Spencer said. He and Microsoft did receive a pitch from Bungie to publish Destiny, but Xbox ultimately decided not to sign on. It would take the game's House of Wolves expansion for Spencer to come around on Destiny. It's a game that I'll always love and a team I'll always have a ton of affinity for, Spencer said. Guitar Hero was another major franchise Spencer said he initially had doubts about. An interesting one is when this team came down to Redmond and Alex Rickipulus, who is great, he pitches a game where they're actually going to make plastic guitars and they're going to plug into consoles and then they're going to sell tracks where you're going to play Simon on this guitar. And I'm like, really, Spencer said? Do we really think that's going to work? A few people played Guitar Hero, Spencer said jokingly. I heard that turned into a pretty good game. Spencer said he's ultimately not a regrets type person and prefers to be positive and look forward when it comes to things Xbox is currently doing rather than shaking his fist over what could have been. Yeah, because you're doing so well right now. Maybe that's a fault of mine, but I passed on so many games, Spencer said. It's not the first time there's been mention of Microsoft having been in the running when it came to the developer being acquired for a second time. Bungie originally split off from Xbox back in 2007, but not before giving up the Halo IP to the House of Xbox. Former Bungie composer Martin O'Donnell has previously said Bungie did consider going back to Microsoft, but also entertained the idea of being acquired by Sony, which would eventually acquire Bungie in 2022. Bungie wanted to own the Destiny IP, O'Donnell said, making negotiations with the two first-party companies a non-starter. The developer ultimately partnered with Activision to publish Destiny and Destiny 2, a deal that O'Donnell has said in interview was bad from the start. Bungie and Activision's publishing agreement ended in 2019. So there's just one comment. Scipio goes, Bungie founders, yeah, I could never forgive what they did to Marty. O'Donnell and how they let Activision ruin that game and make that company consumed with greed. Destiny was fun for a bit, but then it wasn't. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first since you are the more you don't like Phil Spencer so much.
It's not that I don't get it wrong. I'm glad you said that. It's not that I don't like Phil Spencer. I don't like the decisions he's making.
Right.
That's I love Xbox, so obviously, Phil Spencer's done things, but there's also stories I've heard besides Destiny and Guitar Hero that make you wonder, make you scratch your head. It's like because the whole reason Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive is because Phil Spencer passed on it. When the first Spider-Man came out on PlayStation 4, Phil Spencer had first crack at it. He could have made Spider-Man an Xbox exclusive. And he passed on it. And then let's go back to 2001 or 2002. Grand Theft Auto was originally, if you realize, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City never had releases on Xbox. Grand Theft Auto, the first Grand Theft Auto game to release on Xbox console was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh, yeah.
Because Phil Spencer didn't see any promise in Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City. That's why later they made the collection that featured where if you want to play Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City on the original Xbox, they were later sold off in a collection together.
Right.
But PlayStation saw the promise, and it's just like, how do you pass on Grand Theft Auto? How do you pass on Spider-Man?
He must be like smoking or something at the time, and it just affected his judgment,
But I mean, even don't get me wrong. I hated the first Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
It was just impossible to turn the car. But I played Grand Theft Auto 2 on emulator, and it was actually pretty fun. So, I enjoyed it. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. Get rid of the overhead view because, you really can't tell too much of a story. But Grand Theft Auto 2 seemed to work a lot better than the original Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like Really? You didn't see promise in this? You didn't see promise in the first Spider-Man when that could have been an Xbox. You know how much PlayStation would be hurting if Spider-Man was an Xbox exclusive, and Phil Spencer passed on it. How do you not see value in Spider-Man? I mean, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were great.
Yeah,
You
but
know, I mean,
it's still fresh. It's still relevant to some gamers like ourselves.
yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, and it's just like Spider-Man 2, really, in my opinion, is carrying the PS5. It's the only reason people care at all about the PS5. So it's but it's like, but when I heard that Phil Spencer had first crack at those games, and he passed on them, it's kind of like, wow, he's been making bad decisions for a long time.
At least 5 years. Or not at least 5 years, about 3 years. But
Yeah,
it's just the pandemic. Actually, I think the pandemic kind of affected everyone at Microsoft and Xbox, especially Phil Spencer himself, because everyone's laid back on decision making, and it just created this weird setback in judgment and experience and overlay, and to organizing, planning ahead. It affected everything of these guys, and it's now we're seeing again the effect of it everything. So
yeah. So don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of Xbox, the past at least. I really can't say too much about the future. That's good. Um, but so obviously, I appreciate what Phil Spencer has done, making Xbox kind of the replacement for Sega when Sega died, when Sega bowed out with the Dreamcast of the console wars, at least.
hmm
But it's kind of like, you know, it's just like, really, how many? I'd love to know other games Phil Spencer passed on. To be honest,
could be Fast Cycle Filter, or it could be like other IPs he bought from Bethesda and King, or King Crush and stuff like that. So uh, you never know at this rate, but that's what I'm thinking of. Like how you
yeah,
pass up on games like that? Do you have IPs of or potential to buy them even? Like you bought all these gaming companies and studios that own or made these games, and all of a sudden you don't use them, even though they have been used in over 20 years prior to you buying them. It's kind of like, well, what was your purpose then? I mean, it's just that to store it in the backlog and keep it for future use. I mean, it's like that's a bad offer right there to most developers and publishers even. It doesn't make any sense. So.
what I would, like I said, if I was Phil Spencer and the Activision Blizzard uh, merger went through, I would have contacted every single studio, and I would have said, "Listen, I want to see I want to see your IPs, the last game you made for each IP that you have. I want to see what that game was, how much it made, and how much the budget was for that game.
hmm
I want to see, tell me, you don't even have to say the revenue. Just say, did you make money? Did you have, was the revenue positive or was the revenue negative according to the budget? You know, and I would have started work on those games. The past games, if I own the rights, like True Crime and stuff, and Tony Hawk, I would have been trying to get them on Game Pass on day one because to be fair, True Crime, even if you buy True Crime Streets of LA or Streets of New York or the first Tony Hawk or second Tony Hawk for PlayStation on eBay, it's not gonna go to the developers anyway. So you're not really losing any money. But that would have been awesome for Game Pass to have those games.
hmm
And he did nothing with it. It's like, wow, $69 billion, and this is what you did with it. This is what you did with what you spent $69 billion on. Okay.
And expect us to spend $30 for the last, was it a year now on games and on the Xbox? At least on the Xbox. You're
And then
playing a
and then
dangerous
raised
game,
and
my
then he
friend.
raised the prices of Game Pass.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh.
if you had the True Crime series and the Tony Hawk series and Sleeping Dogs and stuff like that, if you had that on Game Pass, there would have been a good reason to have a price increase because you would have been like, listen, look at all these games that we're adding to Game Pass now that we own these IPs. and we're gonna talk with the developers about the success of their most recent game, considering for each IP, to see which ones we should make a sequel or a reboot for.
At least the Sleeping Dogs game at one point it was free games with gold for a while. I'm not sure if I still own it or not, but if I can, I could probably get a good discount on it now. That's about it on the Xbox when it comes to Sleeping Dogs. And True Crime, for example, I got the first True Crime game on the PS2, so I'm good for the time being with my collections as far as with True Crime that is. But it sucks though they can't do New York or
Yeah, because everyone tells
Tokyo.
me everyone tells me Streets of New York was a whole lot better than Streets of LA.
Yeah.
But Streets of LA was still a good game. It's just New York was that much better.
Oh yeah.
And Phil Spencer, well, you saw what he did.
Yeah.
We even
Even
and this isn't the first time we talked about it, because
yes.
we looked at it like a year after the merger was approved and went through, and we're like, where's all the IPs that we were excited to possibly see make a comeback or at least have the ability to play their older games?
Hmm.
It and like I said, there's times and now really I wish the merger didn't go through.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put older Call of Duty games that you can't make money from? Why didn't you put that on Game Pass?
I wonder if Phil Spencer has any advisors, especially if they are from all varying ages, as old as like say 60 to as young as like 18. Because obviously, if because I met a gamer surprisingly the other night. I was playing chess with him. He teach me a lot of stuff how to play chess better. His name is let's call him Dogma for now, and he's a veteran of a chess game for like 20 years now. He's part of some chess club of sorts, and he's very well balanced and well renowned with his chess skills and all. He's way better than I will ever be, and he's a gamer since God knows when. I mean, if he's like 69, late or it's late 60s, I'm like, have him as part of the advisor on with Phil Spencer's team of Xbox or stuff of that sort. And young as 18 with the all young games with Fortnite and stuff. So it's kind of like balance out the IP, it's research, balance out the IP discussions, or this is just a one prime example of that, man. So we could get better at putting good games out there for the Xbox, you know. And it's too late now, but
Yeah,
but it's a shame. These people they see us online on the Xbox for how many decades now, and like you should hire us to help you out to get some find better ways and means to get your content or got your Xbox brand out there. Whether you're the head of Xbox or CEO of Microsoft or both, it sucks.
yeah,
They don't use people for potential. It's all about gatekeeping and like profiting in short term. So
yeah. But I mean, like I said, I wouldn't want to be an advisor of Phil Spencer now.
oh yeah,
The advisor of Phil Spencer. If Phil Spencer asked me for advice, I'd say you made your bed, now lie in it.
he actually
Because
gave
I
up.
think that I think the damage to the Xbox brand is irreversible.
He gave up publicly on a fucking podcast that's like well mentioned to a lot of gamers. It's like it's not. It sucks. He actually gave up. Literally say, "Yeah, we suck. We gave up." And Redfall and Starfield didn't do so well. I'm sorry. On a podcast that's well renowned to, for years. I think it was Geeks and Gamers. I think it was something equivalency of that, man. I forgot the name of the podcast. It's gotta be Geeks and Gamers. But these guys been at it for decades talking about this stuff, saying that Phil Spencer should do this and he did that and Xbox this. You know it's whatever now. It's damage is done.
Yep.
Like you said, lie in your bed. And that's about it.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on to the final story for tonight?
Yeah, we can move on and say rest in peace to Phil Spencer's career.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hey,
Mr.
Phil
Spencer.
Spencer. Phil Spencer has no one to blame but himself.
I kind of like the guy too. He seems like down to earth in a sense, from my perspective. I mean, he has the arrogance as any other CEO had a something, but he's still out there. He still go out about see what's up with the matter.
Yep. Well,
Oh well.
thanks for everything you did to killing Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Sony's new game Concord is now offline after just over a week. Sony has shut down Concord, at least for the time being. After just a week on the market, Sony has decided to remove Concord from sale and will take the game's servers offline. The move comes after the game failed to find an audience with a reported 25,000 sales and very low player numbers. Update. As of September 6, Concord servers are officially offline as reported below. It's unclear if or when the game might return again and be playable. Game director Ryan Ellis said while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Concord is no longer available to buy, and the servers will go offline on September 6th, Ellis said. The team will explore options for how to better reach our players, which sounds like the game could return in some form down the road. Sony is refunding people who bought Concord. Those who bought the game on PS5 will get an automatic refund to their payment method. People who bought Concord on Steam and the Epic Game Store will get refunds too, and players should look for email messages from these providers. Anyone who bought a physical copy of Concord can get a refund from the store they bought it from. This is a shocking turn of events, as few had could have predicted Sony would end sales and shut the servers down for Concord so quickly, even though the player numbers and sales figures were low. As Ellis alluded to in the statement, it sounds like Sony and Firewall could be revamping Concord with a plan to bring it back in a different way. One possibility is that it returns as a free-to-play title, which is what many expected it to be at launch, to give it the best chance to find an audience. Prior to the dramatic announcement, Firewalk planned to launch Concord Season 1, The Tempest, in October, adding a new character, new map, new variants, and additional cosmetics and rewards. Season 2 was scheduled for January, with Season 3 expected in April, though these timelines have surely now changed. Keep checking back with GameSpot for more on Concord. Let's look at the comments. I bet these are going to be a massacre. M4A5 goes, as I said before, it felt like it was made for the average gamer, but for a small minority of toxic people who are trying to control what gaming should be. Glad to see that someone sensible is pulling the plug in a reasonable amount of time, instead of only whining about how it's anyone else's fault but their own. Booby Trap goes, maybe more and more companies will realize that very few people are interested in this live service nonsense. Fortnite is already enough for those who want to scratch that itch. It all came from these dumb CEOs who saw a spark of interest in these products over the pandemic, thinking that this is the future of gaming. The money that they've wasted on this one could come in handy elsewhere. And Scipio said, said in response to Booby Trap, this money could have went to SOCOM or Killzone or Days Gone 2 or Hideo Kojima. There is no way they are this naive. This naive question gets said a lot, and I think there is some truth to Sony execs no longer being actual gamers and only look at numbers, and in the wrong way at that. Same thing with Sweet Baby Inc. They know gamers hate this politics in gaming so much that they track the companies who insert it. Yet they do it anyways. Some say it's not optional, because WB knew it would turn off most fans but did it anyways. A lot of questions about why, who, etc. Okay, so the comments were about as much. The comments were kind of what I expected.
Mm.
So what do you think of the Concord failure?
I have to say though, it surprised the crap out of me because, as far as like, not because the game sucks altogether, from what the gameplay and the art style and stuff like that is bland and all. It's just that the layout, the release of everything, the sales, the timing, the quality, the pricing, it all just like down the toilet. It's so severe. It only sold 25,000 copies, and that's it. And it's even worse than the E.T. Gaming for 1983 gaming crash and all. So what we're going to see sometime in the future, Concord may initiate another gaming crash or a mini crash of sorts over the next several months, or if it's long term, depending on how many more games will be released for live services from other companies, whether gaming of Xbox, PlayStation, doesn't matter. So it's like, because that's what's going through right now. And all these gaming companies, whether they're shareholders of them, publishers, not developers per se, but definitely the ones who are behind making money for these games and all, they want it to be like short term, live service games. You can't do that for every single game. You just can't. And these companies, these businessmen, they suck of today's world because they've been invaded by the gaming community. Because the old school gamers, the old school people behind it, they were gamers themselves behind selling the game and stuff like that. Now it's just these not known name, but they like just people just want to make money only. That's it. It's horrendous. Concord is like the one of the biggest failures of any gaming event or any gaming sales event, or if you want to call it like that. So it's it's history. And there was controllers being made for them, special edition controllers for PS5. So those that bought them or about to buy them, pre-order them, it's going to be a blessing to keep on because of the not the you want to call it the value, but the timing of the value. Because obviously it's going to be relevant in future gaming to all future projects. They'll be like, okay, guys, let's not be like Concord with its 25,000 sales, with its $150-200 million budget, and to have a size of like a developer side of like the size of like fucking 900 people, 800 people at a time making it. You know, it's just stay with a smaller IP, small group of people, and then take it from there. That's what's supposed to happen with Concord. Then it might make something out of it better. But it's too late now, and I have to say though, it's not looking good.
Yeah, there used to be a joke after Marvel's Avengers failed when Suicide Squad killed the Justice League out. Came out. It's like Marvel's Avengers was like, thank you for taking the attention off us. Concord might be now Suicide Squad killed the Justice League might be doing that to Concord for a worst game ever, this generation at least. But yeah, I mean, it's just these executives, they don't get it. It's like, how many shooters do you think the normal person could afford to spend money on and spend and get and microtransactions and spend all this stuff on? How many shooters do you really think people need? And when I say shooters, I'm talking about looter shooters, live service, garbage. You want to make shooters people want to play? Make more Killzone. Make more Gears of War. The good ones. Make more SOCOM games. People love those. Make more Tom Clancy's games. Those are the games people want to play when it comes to shooting. But you just think, ooh, live service is the way. Is it sinking in yet? Make the executive. You know what? I got an idea. Make the executive from Rocksteady who made everyone work on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, being the one who made it be a live service game. Make him pay the $200 million back to Warner Brothers out of his salary. Maybe then he'll learn.
He'll be bankrupt several times over from that.
Yeah. So maybe then he'll learn. Maybe, but in all reality, it's kind of like live service game. It's live service game is announced. Live service game comes out. Live service game bites the dust. And these executives don't learn anything. It's like, yeah, that one failed. Let's now launch ours. and then they can't understand why their game fails too.
Yeah, and I heard that Concord was a 5v5 shooter like that with Overwatch too. So, and they were late to the party by at least 8 years so far. It took 8 years to develop the Concord, the game. It was that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. If it's free to play and still stay in the game for another several months, okay, no big deal, right? But now everything. It was free to play with the robot and other.
Yeah, it's just, it's shocking that you see people fail, and it's kind of like, and these executives don't learn. They think they can do it better. It's like, oh, my company won't have that result. It's almost like these guys are jumping off a bridge, but instead of hitting the water, they're hitting the pavement next to the water.
Yeah.
and the executives like, I can jump from that spot and hit the water.
Shit.
Whee! Splat. I don't understand what went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what? Like I said, mate, that's why I hate repeating myself, but I'm gonna have to at this point. That's why sticking with retro is better at this point.
Hmm.
If you never played the Killzone games, play Killzone. If you never played Resistance, play Resistance. If you never played Tom Clancy games, there's been tons of them. So even if you played some of them, you didn't play all of them. I bet. Um, you know, and these games are actual shooters that are fun shooters because they weren't meant just for the sole purpose of making a buck.
Hmm.
Anything else to add, or is that it? Or is that it?
Well, it's fun. It's fun while it lasted. The good times of gaming. It's present day gaming, that is. We can still go back to our consoles of like Dreamcast and uh, emulators on the computer, stuff like that. With Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, stuff like that. I've been doing for years. But that's about it. But today's game, it's a rest in peace moment at this rate. Not entirely speaking, but it's gonna be a point where it's like, the AAA games, the quadruple A games, what they're called now with exclusive modes, they all go just falter from here on out, and will falter for another few more years, not decades, cause another gaming crash at this rate. So even though Boogie, I can't really say about Boogie at all, and I shouldn't say much about him anymore because it was tarnation of a reputation, but he predicted this back as well as 2014, 2015. He's like, yeah, rather the gaming crash, and here it is. Yeah, rest in
Yeah,
peace to gaming.
he was right. He just predicted it way too early. He just, because in 2014, 2015, people weren't thinking of live service shooters. They weren't seeing as many come out from every single company.
Oh yeah.
It was a one into one a while thing, and we thought, okay, Fortnite hit big, um, Apex hit big, PUBG hit big.
Yeah, Apex came
That's
late
it's a
though.
it's a it's a footnote in history now.
It's
Um,
surprising Apex came late, but still was successful. So
so it's kind of like, but it was like everyone thought, okay, these games came out, they're here.
uh-huh.
Other companies though are like, that's how we continue making money for a long amount of time with a short amount of work. Then you get Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, you get Concord, you get um and other shooters that I'm blanking on that were disasters. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and these executives just are astonished when they look at the numbers. Like, how? Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you enjoy. This was episode number 106 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The next episode will be in 2 weeks. I think it's gonna be Saturday, September 21st. Yep, that'll be episode 107, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. Doctor Games 101. Do you have any plans for tomorrow?
If tomorrow I might have to take care of get groomed and all for a haircut and all, but if I have big time for between tomorrow and next week, I'll do more gameplay of Cyberpunk 2077 as always. I did a stream of it of Mafia One thanks to you, Triple, for donating the game to me. The Mafia One Definitive Edition. I did it the other August 30th day. So if you just want to watch it, it's on my YouTube channel. It's about 2 hours long. Less edited as usual. It's all right. The game, Man the Mafia. So check me out doing that. Do that gameplay. Other than that, I'll do another gameplay of Cyberpunk as well as Nakara. I know I should have thought about doing that weeks or months ago when it came out, but now they have a new DLC or a new event going on as of like a week ago, a week and a half ago. So more details that I talk about on my YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah. If I do anything tomorrow, it'll probably be Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. The go home show to SummerSlam 2001 is where I am in that series. I did play Total Extreme Wrestling 2020, controlling WWF from the year 1996. I gotta make that visible on Twitch and add that to YouTube eventually. I did that on Friday. Um, so that's all I have to say. Until next time, good night, everyone.
All right, guys.